Yeah, so I first got into iRacing. I think it was in around 2010. I had been racing a limited late model up in Wisconsin, and I actually had a relationship with Bobby Waltrip, who was Michael and Daryl's brother, and he's the one that tipped me off to iRacing. He's like, hey, this is a great development tool, and I've always been an avid NASCAR gamer. I remember, my first game was on the PC, NASCAR Heat, and then NASCAR Thunder 04, and Chase for the Championship in 05, and Total Team Control in 06, right? The list goes on. And obviously I was like, yeah, I want to get into this, and checked it out. Bought a used Logitech G27 from a guy up in Wisconsin, and I still have that same wheel to this day. I've never upgraded, still have my old Logitech G27, and it just works for me. So yeah, that's how I got started into iRacing, and just took off from there. So I think early on in the beginning, iRacing was a tool for me just to get used to the parameters of a big vehicle. So I grew up racing go-karts, and I went right into a full-size car, and that was a huge transition for me. So just learning kind of where my fenders were, where my bumper was, just learning where the wall was at, right? Because I went from being pretty centered in a go-kart to off-centered in a car, and just kind of knowing my limits, and being able to adapt to new tracks, creating consistency in my driving style. I always say iRacing is a great tool for consistency. You can see your lap time live, right? You can see when you do something, you can see your lap time get better or get worse. And to me, even though you don't have that tool in real life, you can train your it's almost muscle memory, right? You kind of know when you're on the real racetrack whether you've gained time or lost time because of you're used to seeing it live on iRacing. And that's one of the things that I think really helped me the most as far as actually driving, was just being able to be consistency, and a lot of that came from that tool in iRacing. The laptop rig, I mean, it's kind of got a little famous on social over the course of my gaming and racing career. Still use it today. I've been through probably 5 or 6 laptops because I keep burning the cards out of them, the graphics cards. But yeah, I don't know. It's I've always been on the road a ton, and I've noticed when you get in a motion rig or an actual rig, you get used to it. So with me traveling so much, I had, in Wisconsin, in Charlotte, Sandusky, Ohio, I was always on the road, and just having a G27 that I could unclamp, put it in my bag, have a laptop, set up my laptop anywhere. I've done it in hotel rooms. I can bring my rig anywhere, and not many people can do that. So with being on the road, it was just a way for me to iRace, really wherever I was. And I got used to it, and I was successful with it, so there was no reason for me to upgrade. I searched iRacing on my Twitter, and there's tweets. We had the Snowball Derby last weekend. We still stay in the same place that we did back then, and I had my iRacing rig clamped to the table at Snowball Derby, and I remember breaking down the racetrack on iRacing. I was driving around on iRacing, right, in the hotel room, breaking down to my crew chief on what the car was doing where, that day earlier at the racetrack at Five Flags. So I think people underestimate the tool that iRacing can be. Translating some of that to real life has been a key to my career and a key to my success. The camaraderie and the community on iRacing is probably one of the most underrated aspects of iRacing. It's a great place to network. You never know who you're in a session with, and I have a good story, and I won't totally out TJ on this one, but I was in an Irwindale race, fixed street stock race at Irwindale, and I was racing with this guy. It wasn't TJ Majors. He was on an alias name. I didn't know it at the time, and so I'm racing. He's a little bit better than me, and I came in. I put my set of tires on with, 20 to go. He was leading. He stayed out, and I raced him for the lead. Roughed him up just a little bit. I won. And he messaged me after, hey man, what was up with that? And I apologized to him. I took full responsibility. And about an hour later, I get a message on Twitter from TJ Majors. He goes, Irwindale. That's all he said. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. That was TJ Majors, right? And I think that was in 2015-ish, and it was when I was a part of the Quickie program. I was winning a ton of late model races, super late model races, and he knew who I was, and he goes, "Hey, like, what can I do to help you?" I said, "Man, I don't have a ton of money, but I'd love to get in front of some of these people and make it known who I am and what I'm doing." And that's he kind of got me in the NASCAR funnel, right? He's close with Brad Keselowski, and of course Dale Earnhardt Jr. And he kind of got me in front of those guys, even though I never specifically did a deal with BKR or Junior Motorsports. I had some guys in the kind of the NASCAR funnel that knew about me, and it created opportunities for me in my career. So you never know who you're racing on there, and you might run into Dale Jr. You might run into, there's so many NASCAR drivers that I race, and you don't know who you're going to be in a session with. So I think that's one of the things that iRacing is able to do. It's able to take maybe a fan base that can iRace and bring them closer to real life pro drivers, and I think that's just so cool. The biggest thing that made iRacing enjoyable for me was getting a good group of people that you have fun with. It's so much more than just turning laps by yourself. And I think if you can create a friendship and a group community on iRacing, or any game for that matter, but specifically iRacing, it keeps it enjoyable, right? You go on there to hang out with your buddies. It's not necessarily it's not always to turn laps, right? And I think that's a really good message that I want to hit home. Is it's a community. I built lifelong friends on there, and if you can get a group of people that you enjoy doing it with, it makes the experience so much better. So another thing for me is, iRacing obviously is, there's motion sims out there, but the majority of the people have a static simulator, right? So you're having to see everything happen on the computer screen. So when you get loose, you're seeing that vision on the screen change, and it's telling you that, oh, hey, I'm loose, I need to counter steer, right? Where in real life, you're sitting in the vehicle, you can feel it. And I think iRacing is almost more difficult in that sense, because in real life you can feel it and then react to it, where on iRacing you have to actually see it happen. And I think that's where some of the old school racers disconnect with iRacing, and they're like, this isn't real. Well, I understand that you don't have that feel, but you're still seeing it. So I think when you can perfect iRacing and get yourself good at iRacing, and then you get in real life, you can almost anticipate what your real life vehicle is going to do, just by, you're almost able to see. It sounds cliche almost, but you're almost able to see yourself get loose before you can feel it. And I feel like, that's why, I feel like I'm able to drive a pretty free vehicle in real life compared to some other people that run similar cars and similar setups as me. And I feel like it's from that in iRacing, is being able to sort of anticipate yourself or the race vehicle do something and react to it, and sort of keep your vehicle in control, or closer to that edge of being out of control, if that makes sense. Yeah, the 10,000 iRating, I was, once I got there, I was like, man, I don't want to lose this. Like, my luck, I get to 10K. I've worked for it for so long, and the public wasn't even sure what was going to happen. So I remember it was at a late model race. The old late model at Langley is the race where I eclipsed 10,000. I remember at the time there could only be 50 spectators in a room, and it was maxed out. And I had no idea people were actually watching me get closer, but they saw me in the room. They're like, hey, he's like 2 iRating away. If he wins this, he's going to eclipse it. And there was max spectators in the room, because I think some people thought it was going to just stop at 9,999. We didn't know if we were going to get to that 5th digit, but it did. And I remember, like, man, I really don't want to lose it. My luck, I go into the next race, my internet drops, or I get wrecked by a lap car or something. So I decided I think I raced on it a little bit more, but I parked it at like maybe 10,000 and 100 or something like that. And I created another account, Tyler instead of Ty, and did it again. So got to 10,000 again, all over again. And then once I got those 2 accounts pretty high up, I started another one. That's Ty 2. So Ty Majeski 2. So I have actually 3 accounts, only 2 of them are active, and those are the 2 accounts I race off of. So yeah, we have a lot of iRating between my 3 accounts for sure. So favorite track car combo, I love that old late model, that original late model that is no longer on the service, and I'm a little upset about it. But the new late model stock is great and everything, and the super late model is great, but there was just something about, I don't know, maybe it was just, you know, nostalgia or whatever, but that old late model was just fun for me. So I always loved racing that at Five Flags or Nashville. Some faster racetracks was always fun. But I was really happy to get Slinger on there. Slinger is obviously a track that's close to my hometown, basically an hour south of me, and it's a great racetrack. I mean, it's unique. There's nothing like it on the service, right? The fast high banks. It's very cool to have on there. So it's awesome to see some of the Wisconsin tracks getting involved in iRacing, and hopefully we see that happen more. From a young age, I've always wanted to be a NASCAR driver, right? And there was times in my career where that was a far-fetched dream, right? But as you know, we kept winning at different levels, and I got hooked up with a really good late model team in 2014, and we started winning races all over the country. Had that race with TJ Majors, right? He kind of got me in front of some people that were impressed. I'm like, man, this could happen, right? This is becoming more and more of a reality. Kept winning races, right? Had an opportunity to sign a development deal with Roush Fenway, and it's just crazy that, you know, I go back and there's 2 or 3 races in my career that really altered my career path and got me here today. So, you know, I think the moral of my story is you never know who's watching. Always be respectful to anybody you're talking to in the pit area. You never know who you're racing against on iRacing, right? I was racing against TJ Majors on an alias name, had no idea it was him, and that kind of got me in the NASCAR funnel. And then, yeah, won the Snowball Derby, propelled me into a championship here. So you just never know. I'm a first-generation racer from a one-stoplight town in Wisconsin, right? With a dream of being a NASCAR driver, and you know, with the help of iRacing, and you know, with a lot of grit and determination, and surrounding myself with a lot of great people, I made my dream a reality.